Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays The Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. Finally, we breached the double digits. We've broached the double digits. CBKG, RQ, GD. I'm impressed with myself because I remembered that we actually did get Eden's Blessing on the last run, which explains a little bit. It explains why we have one extra item. The item is Abaddon, which explains why our HP is so high. It also, it raises some questions, I'm willing to say as well, that it raises some questions. Like, how bad was our damage if you did it before Abaddon? When you consider the fact that we're only at 5 damage with Abaddon? That's not a complaint, really. I mean, there's complaining, don't get me wrong, but then there's also acknowledging negative things. It's not acknowledging a negative, or it's not complaining to just recognize something is bad and say it's not that good, right? Like, if I was like, hey, it's raining, it doesn't mean I'm complaining. I'm acknowledging that there's rain outside. Rain is, well, I guess it's kind of a weird example because rain is, like, actually a good thing. It might be inconvenient, I suppose, but it is a good thing in the sense that, like, you know, if you're going to the beach, it's not ideal, but apart from that, you know, if you enjoy, you know, fresh, clean water and, you know, eating things that grow in the ground, which, when you really get down to it, you know, is everything. I know how that might sound, but I just mean that in, like, a literal way, you know? Like, the solar energy is where all of the calories that we eat come from, right? Like, I'm trying to, and it might seem obvious, or maybe the exact opposite of obvious, depending on where you're coming from here, but I'm thinking it through in my head. I'm like, is there any source of edible energy for which the sun's ultraviolet waves, well, I guess it's technically kind of, it's a little complicated, and as a result of the double slit experiment, it behaves sometimes as a particle and sometimes as a wave. That is true, okay? But, you know, we're getting into semantic arguments over, you know, physical phenomenon. As much as that would be a good subtitle for my self-help novel coming out this fall, i.e. 2 months ago, I don't think it's germane to the current conversation. You know, like, okay, so you eat a fruit or a vegetable, the energy for that originally came from the sun, you know, via photosynthesis. Well, the sun via solar radiation, and then the calories were synthesized via photosynthesis. And then, like, you know, you eat some meats. How do you think the meat came to exist? Your cows are eating plants and getting, you know, turning the plant calories into meat calories. But then I'm like, we get into some other stuff, I'm like, what about Doritos? Grown from Frankencorn. Is it possible that that corn grows in a laboratory? And that laboratory somehow is, but then even then, I'm like, where do you think the energy came from for the oil and gas used? It was originally the dinosaurs consumed those weird Jurassic Park plants. Where do you think they got the energy? Anyway, you get what I'm saying. All I'm trying to say is, like, I think it would be extremely bad for planet Earth if the sun went out. Like, if somebody put enormous sunglasses over the Earth, I think things would get pretty bad pretty fast. I think that's also the plot of a Simpsons episode. Anyway, how am I doing? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. It is a Sunday. This is it's a landmark video. It's my first video recorded at the age of 32. Very exciting. How was my birthday yesterday? It was like, you know, COVID. I mean, it was COVID-y. Not like I didn't experience the illness, but, you know, people were asking, like, hey, what did you do for your birthday? And I'm like, what do you think I did? We ordered takeout and watched television. Let me think about this one for a second, because I don't really want potato peeler. But maybe I want potato peeler. That is what I was looking for, just to see if we could get it. Don't explode, don't explode. frick. Let me try to find our item room here first, because we do get a lot of value out of using Doctor's Remote on the boss. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. Ordered some pizza, hung out with my wife, my baby, and my mom. My wife, my baby, and my mom, my baby, my wife and my baby, my mom and my baby, my wife and my baby, my mom and my baby, my wife and my happy birthday. My wife and my baby and mommy and baby and my sorry. I'm trying to delete it, sorry. Yeah, so we didn't really, like, do anything at all, honestly. In fact, I had what I would consider, it was less of like, hey, it's my 32nd birthday. It was more of like, hey, it's your first dad birthday. What do I mean by that? Well, what did I do yesterday? I mean, I relaxed, don't get me wrong, and I played some Rocket League, and I didn't get up to, like, I didn't work at all, but, like, domestically, I was like, okay, so it's like the harvest season is over, so let's scrape out all the soil from our outdoor planters that we grew, berries and herbs in and stuff like that, and that took a little bit, and, just doing some, like, domestic stuff. But it wasn't bad, like, I have no complaints in that department. Just anecdoteless, which is fair, is understandable, in the era of 2020, you gotta make your own anecdotes from inside materials only, and that's okay. We're learning to live with it. Let me see what we got in this item room here. Okay, again, I do think there's something in the code. I genuinely believe that there is something in the code. Like the George Harrison song from the Beatles. Something in the code, she moves me. I don't want to code you now. No, I don't want to cast you now. I don't need an int anyhow. Okay, let's just move along. But the more bomb items you get, the more bomb items you get. You know what I mean? Like, I think it accelerates. There's like a weird... It's like an angel deal chance or something like that. So I'm looking for a half-price item. We actually... I'm very happy with our bomb synergies. Mostly with Doctor's Remote. The Dream... I wish we had the cash. I thought we would get more. I thought maybe we'd also find our secret room. The Dream for us would be... if we could get like 9 volt in particular would be mighty sick. Make me think I'm mighty sick. Razor Blade, or False Razor, unfortunately just not good enough. We did see 9 volt, it was not half price though. So I choose, I can hear you, but I won't. Kick it again, kick it again. It's alright, just keep it moving. I can't believe it lived that long. There's no reason, I think, not to just Diplopia the crap out of this. We at least get more options. And then an I Can See Forever. Which we're not gonna even, use, to be honest with you. Why? Because we're, out of here. We already got our item. We're out of here. I don't need, the fact that we missed out on the 9 volt means I'm not sweating it. Sorry, I think I have my mouse, like, right here the whole time. I don't know if you can see it there. I apologize. So unprofessional. Dude, I was watching Shark Tank this weekend. Let me give it to you straight. By the way, I want to talk about how screwed up TV is, okay? So I've been getting a little bit more into investing. It is what it is, everything in the modern day, when you get into a hobby, it comes with, an awareness of both the positives, the negatives, the benefits, the consequences, the challenges, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and so on. But I've been getting into investing, and also coinciding with this, and also contributing to it, is that we have a baby, and the baby wakes me up at like 5:45 to 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is essentially when the stock markets in North America open. It's around 9:30 Eastern time. So I will admit, because I'm 100 years old, I paid $5 to gain access to a financial news channel that I can watch while feeding this baby. That was not a wise decision on my part right there. And at the end of the day, I'm not gonna be... I feel like when it comes to interfacing with the old guard of entertainment and I suppose journalism as well, which might constitute entertainment or might not, depending on the kind of stuff that you're watching. But I understand it, you know? Like, I don't pirate media. I understand why people do. Namely, that it's free. There are some other advantages, I suppose. You know, I don't want to get a whole subscription service to just see one show, but I still can't live without seeing that show. Or, you know, like, I don't support this decision that they made, I'm just going to hate watch it or something like that. But for me personally, it doesn't sit well. So as a result, I'm always like... I get weirded out a little bit because people will be like... You know, I mentioned how we had Disney Plus and, like, all I used it for was rewatching Hamilton and then The Mandalorian. People were like, NL. Let me tell you, there's a little known invention on the internet called BitTorrent, and if you're not familiar with it, you're not gonna believe this, dude. You know all that money you've been spending, like, on entertainment properties and stuff like that? You can just, like, not do it and everything. There's no consequences to it. It's like everything's gonna be fine. It's not gonna change the ecosystem at all. And I'm like, hey, what? Like, some people are just like, yeah, just do it. Some people are like, if you don't do it, it offends me. But anyway, disregarding this. So I'm not, you know, too beaten up over the fact that I spent the cost of a subscription to my channel to gain access to this channel. Especially when, I mean, if we're just being honest with one another, the subscription to this channel actually allows me to, you know, watch it. Whereas the subscription to my channel just gives you some cool emojis you can pop into chat and the knowledge that you're financially supporting one of your favorite streamers, hopefully. Or you could just use your Twitch Prime subscription. But anyway, regardless, moving on from that. Now, you know what blew my mind? So I was like, I wonder what this financial channel does on Saturday and Sunday. So they play a little Shark Tank, which is fine. It's not my favorite show, but I mean, there's a reasonable degree of entertainment. And because I can pretend that I'm kind of a businessman, I get to be like, what are you doing? You wouldn't believe, though, like, I almost take it from the opposite angle that most people do. Like, I've watched Shark Tank with, or Dragon's Den, at least, with people who kind of think they're big shots, and they always, like, echo Kevin O'Leary. There's no business here. You're just a product. You're no business. You're going to zero on a laser beam. And I'm always like, dude, you're worth, like, you know, $2 billion. And then this company comes in and is like, we're asking for $10,000 for 50% of our company. They got some sales. They already made the website. They already did, you know, XYZ to get it off the ground. And then you're like, I'm out. Really? You're out? I feel like if I had that kind of, if I had those kind of resources, I'd be buying almost every company that came through the door. Like, if you're a billionaire and somebody comes in and they're like, we want, you know, $25,000 for 40% of our company. If you see any sort of potential in it, you should. Isn't it just the kind of, you're like, hey, they're not all gonna go. Don't get me wrong. But the cost is so low, like, and you get paid for being on the show. Just with the fee you probably got for being on that one episode, you could get one extra company per episode. I'm being sincere. I would not surprise me if the producers actually tell the sharks, invest less than you actually would otherwise think you should. Because it just seems to me like not only like the optics for their own personal brand of helping out so many small businesses, but then secondarily the incredible gains you would stand to earn by just, like, walking out of every single taping, being an equal partner in, like, 100 other businesses for the cost of, you know, what you spend on catering for your office for one day. Like, anyway. Regardless, where I was gonna go with this. Suffice to say, if anyone wants to give me $1 billion and then put me on Shark Tank, the show is either gonna become incredible or unwatchable. I will tell Kevin O'Leary to shut up. That does not bother me at all. And then people are always like, well, you don't become a billionaire by doing... Yeah, well, yeah, but you kind of, like, you know... You can become rich by buying a share in... Like it's already an unfair deal, you know what I mean? You've been working on this company for 10 years. You come in here for And you ask for $25,000 for 10%? That's an incredible deal if the company has any kind of potential. Anyway, so get in touch with me. You can find my email in my business email in my bio. I don't have the resources to help any legitimate business, but let's take some flyers, okay? I really think, like, if you were on, if you were like a high millionaire or a billionaire, couldn't you just watch Dragon's Den, and then when they passed on the deal but you liked it, just email them and be like, hey, you know, are those terms still on the table? Anyway, regardless. So here's what I really wanted to get down with. Did you know that this particular television network, you know, I pay $5 a month for it? It has commercials. For one. Big whoop, you know, again, kind of hypocritical of me to complain about that. But even more so, this is what blew my mind. At least a third of its programming on Fridays and on Saturdays and Sundays, I should say, is actually sponsored programming. You might say, NL, you've done sponsored content. Yes, but my sponsored content is not literally, hey, I'm going to put my stream live for an hour, and Dr. Ho is going to try to sell you like a spine-correcting massage vest that you wear, and he says like, oh, it gets all the intra-spinal muscles loosened up and blah, blah, blah. You're telling me you pay $5 a month for the channel, and then on Saturdays and Sundays, they have the audacity to use you as an audience to be exclusively marketed to? I don't, like, commercials or whatever, just, it's stupid that you pay for the channel and then also there's advertising, okay? I definitely, but it's sadly just the way she goes, right? Like that's the marketplace, which is also another reason why TV's getting shellacked. But regardless, the fact that they have the audacity to charge you $5 and then also on the weekends are like, hey, here's like a bunch of actors in a round table talking about how this, you know, miracle pill cures fibromyalgia. It's just insanity to me. This is a really tough one. This is like agnostically good. And I think we should leave it at that. Although, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't love that. I do want to see... Like, I just really don't want to be one hit away from disaster. That's what it all comes down to. I would now... Well, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't take Whore of Babylon now. But I do want to protect this eternal heart. Let's... Shimon. No, just take me down. Okay, we got our item room on that floor, I believe. We're good, we're good. Anyway. Like, I kind of work in the business. Obviously, I don't have the same kind of, you know, operating expenses as, you know, Bloomberg News. But I mean, I am assuming I don't have the same kind of income either. Not to mention, like, I get it because of COVID, but I don't know if... This is probably, like, one of the more niche bits I've ever done. But if you subscribe to Bloomberg News, or, like, maybe they play it at your office or something... You know that at least in Canada right now, Bloomberg News is literally just being run like a Twitch stream. Like from 5 to 8 a.m., there's a dude in his home office, and then from 8 to noon, there's another dude in his home office. That literally you could just see, it's like watching a Just Chatting streamer, like they're reading a brief on their other monitor, and then going, hey, can you believe this? Here's some major news today. And they're doing, like, weird, awkward interviews that I'm completely sympathetic to because, you know, I'm in the same business. But I am kind of like... Can you imagine what it would be like if I was like, hey, so for today's stream, like Monday to Friday, you get the NLSS, right? It's a great time. Or you get me solo. It's a good time. Saturday and Sunday, I've been paid by a company... to literally just be like, hey, we're going to try to sell you the Slap Chop. We're just going to show you like 3 hours straight of Slap Chop infomercials. I'll admit that I'm kind of ignorant to the TV... I'm not ignorant to the business model. The business model is sell out their consumer base as much as possible, obviously. So we will go with this, even though we need as many sacks as possible, or as many spirit hearts as possible, obviously. But can you imagine taking your audience for granted that much? If the channel was free, whatever. Like when the CBC, which is, I guess, free is maybe not the right way to describe it, but you can probably glean what I mean. It's publicly funded in Canada. So, you know, it is paid for via tax dollars, but I imagine the operating margins are fairly low. Pardon me, just had the burp there. Unrelated to anything else, just had the burp there. But when they play, I don't know what happened there. I couldn't move my, I can't move my cursor when I'm with you. But either way, when they play, you know, sponsored ads on the weekends at 2 a.m., I'm like, yeah, get it. Make their pockets hurt. Da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. But when you pay for a channel and they show you commercials, you go, okay, I understand. That's part of the way the business is run. When you pay for a channel and then the channel is just a commercial, you start to go, huh? This seems like a terrible deal. Then again, there's really nobody else operating in this space, I think. Like, the only people I've found that... Well, like, the only sources I've found for, like, 24-hour market coverage, not that I would need that at this level, but it's just... Like, when you get interested in a hobby, right? Like, it's not like I need access to the NASDAQ stock ticker 10 hours a day. But, like, you know, you just are like, hey, let's learn some more about this. You know, you can become infatuated with it a little bit. But I've only found, like, a couple of TV networks, and then also, like, 17-year-old kids wearing their dad's suits streaming on DLive. I can only imagine it's because they were banned on Twitch. Because the SEC takes this stuff pretty seriously. And they're like, well, you just, you know, just buy Tesla. It never goes down. And then I've been making that joke for like 9 months, and the thing just does not go down. So I just keep getting angrier and angrier. But I'm like, one day it's going to go down, not because I think the company's going to suffer necessarily, but because it's so heavily overvalued right now. Anyway. Regardless. Just surprising to me that you can, like... Like, let me put it this way. The perception between, like, a TV channel selling out its audience and a streamer selling out their audience is so different. Like, if I stream for an hour and I run a 30-second ad, probably, I would say, about 25% of the chat becomes like, ads? WTF? And I'm like, yeah, this is good. Look. I do, I mean, all the YouTube videos have well, almost all the YouTube videos have ads in them. Sponsored stuff tends not to because it is an ad, but regardless, you know, that's, we're, again, getting mired into the minutia. But yeah, and even, like, you know, I, historically, over the past several years, I've run 3 minutes of advertisements an hour. The main annoyance I have, like, I would, and I would say I probably just forget to run them, like, a third of the time. And that's legitimate. If I was lying, I would say half the time, but I don't think that's true. The main problem for me is not the frequency of the ads. Like, I think getting, you know, 6 ads in 1 hour that are 30 seconds long each is pretty reasonable. The problem is that on Twitch, sometimes, especially depending on your region, they only have, like, 1 ad in the rotation at any given time, so you literally just get, you know, the same ad, not for the same product, literally, like, the same video file 6 times in a row, which is pretty suboptimal. But you know, maybe it's because I grew up, you know, in an ad-rich environment where, you know, on television, there's 8 minutes of ads every half hour. This is bad. Can I shoot my bomb, please? Thank you. On television, there's 8 minutes of ads every half hour, so literally like a quarter of what you're watching is commercials. That's a lot. We'll take guillotine. I'm not afraid to... Like, we don't have a tiers upgrade at all this run so far, so let's get a little nuts. And then, like, so we run 3 minutes an hour. that is about 5%. So it's a huge reduction. Could it be less? Yes, I suppose. Like, that's honestly why I've been stoked, like, Twitch has been rolling out, and again, we're getting into kind of, you know, too inside baseball, but it depends, you know? A lot of people really like the inside baseball conversation, and I think, you know, within Twitch streamers, I kind of hold the minority position sometimes. And I would love to hold the majority position. I really would. It would make it so much easier because, like, that's the way the tide turns at all times. But I remember I would, like, I don't want to disclose the exact amount, but, like, Twitch rolled out this ad product called multiplayer ads. It's kind of a weird, obviously, like, kind of a pandering name for an advertisement, but basically the way that those work is, like, you watch a 30-second ad, and then you've got 30 seconds to answer, not a skill testing question, but, like, a preferential question about the ad. So you watch an ad for, like, Northernlion, and then it'll go like, hey, what's your biggest concern with online security? For every person that answers it, the streamer gets, like, you know, a certain amount of money. Not a lot per person, but it can add up, obviously, if you've got a reasonably sized audience. And I was in the back channel, and I was like, yo, so guys, I ran my first multiplayer ad today. And, like, here's how much it made. And I thought it was pretty fun. And also, it meant that I could run 1/3 the amount of runtime of advertisements. And yet, honestly, we're not concerned about the money too much. Just give me this, and then we'll go to our shop. We've already been to our shop, but we could buy some more spirit arts, because this run is not looking amazing, although it's got a good chance. But anyway, long story short, you know, the first comment was like, LOL. And I was like, oh, LOL, okay. I guess, you know, we have different asks. Like, there's long been, and don't get me wrong, you can take the high road on this one and be like, the reason I don't run advertisements is because it's offensive to my viewers and it doesn't move the needle enough for me to be that interested in it. And I actually can kind of understand that. Like, if you're a smaller streamer, you might think that, you know, even losing like 2 viewers by running advertisements is probably not worth, you know, what you're gonna receive from the ad revenue, depending on where you're at in your life. That's definitely fair. However, I'm also like, sometimes when people take the high road on advertisements, I'm like, yeah, but I will tune into your stream, and like, I just watch you, like, you know, eat at a black screen for 20 minutes. Wouldn't it, or like, you go to the bathroom, but you don't run an ad. Like, why not run an ad there? It's not like if I'm a viewer, I'm not like, oh, this person's so honorable, they're just letting me look at their chair instead, you know? I'm interested to see this. I mean, this was all kind of a knock on Apollo. We have different business philosophies, let me put it that way. I'm interested to see, you know, with the rise of his popularity, partly as a result of the Among Us gameplay that he's been doing, and also his renewed focus on, you know, marketing himself on YouTube and stuff like that, which if you watch Check the Wire with Daniel and myself, that, you know, recently did go on an indefinite hiatus, but, you know, when we were still doing it, you know, you would know that I'm very much for that. But I am interested to see if maybe he rethinks his thoughts on the advertisement model now that the numbers have grown. But anyway, I forgot where I was going with it, but I personally, I mean, nobody loves ads. And I always, like, it's weird, because on YouTube, like, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. YouTube seems very strange to me. Like I get paid on YouTube based on what feels like magic. If that makes sense. Like, on Twitch, over, you know, you stream for a month and you run advertisements, obviously. Like, you click a button to run the advertisements, and, you know, you see little pop-ups that are like, this person subscribed, this person cheered. and then, you know, you have some kind of idea where you stand. YouTube is like, you know, let's spin the wheel of advertising, and you're like, well, you had a good month. It was a record-breaking month, but also CPMs were down this month because your demographics switched from 25 to 34 years old to being a majority 17 to 28 years old, and as a result, tick, 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 you know, you get the idea. It's, advertising's weird, but I am grateful for it, but I am also, and I'll say this frankly, I am more grateful for the direct support model via something like subscriptions on Twitch. That's not to say I value the Twitch subscribers more than, you know, YouTube viewers anyway, except economically, which is just math, but it's rather just like, I don't know. It feels more flattering, I guess, when someone's like, yeah, I'm willing to give you a subscription, versus like, hey, you know, Nissan had a big marketing budget, so, you know, advertising rates are way up this month. So even though you got the same amount of views, like, you know, you did way better, or way worse for that matter. Like, I don't know if people are really aware of this by and large, but like, YouTubers, it depends what niche you're in for sure, but YouTubers probably make like 50% of their annual income in November and December. It depends, and like this year was a little weird because in March everything cratered as a result of COVID. But now it's almost like insanity in the other direction. People are like, everything's not just fine, it's like economically this is the best it's ever been by far. And you're like, oh, really? Again, not that I'm complaining, but so like it's funny, like I mean I wouldn't complain about this because I consider myself to just, you know, be lucky to be in this position in the first place. But if you're like famous for playing a game and then the sequel comes out in November, congratulations. That's probably on a financial level worth like 8 times more than if you're, you know, famous for playing a game and the sequel comes out in January. So what I'm saying is, Ed and Tyrone, if you could just delay repentance, if you could just delay repentance until October 30th, 2020. No, I would never ask for that. Again, I consider myself very lucky to still just be playing this game and have people watching to begin with. I will also say, though, this run is actually trash, and I'm not afraid who knows it. I also can't always move the doctor's remote, which is very strange, but it's okay. We did lose our deal with the devil chance. Why is it trash? This might be XL. It's not XL. Well, like, trash, I guess, is kind of a strong word. I was trying to elicit a reaction there. We have essentially the same rate of fire we started with. The only thing that changed our rate of fire was, oh my god, was guillotine, which carries its own negatives. But it was worth it. Our damage is okay, and I want to, you know, restate that for effect. It's okay. It's not good. It's not above average. It's like probably right on the average. And then if you combine that again with our terrible rate of fire, and then also the amount that we're missing because of guillotine, you know, we're kind of amazing. We're stuck between more of a rock and a hard place than you might have originally considered based on how this run originally looked. It originally looked quite good. I was literally just about to say, why is it that you always get the matriarch on runs that are tough to begin with? I honestly, and this is a situation that is very ripe for possible bias. Don't get me wrong. I'm dead. I deserve to die. I mean, I called it in advance. I'm telling you, the matriarch predominantly shows up on runs that are trash. I honestly don't feel bad about that one. I mean, we lost more HP than I think we could have played a lot better and probably pulled out a win, but I'm also like, man, that was like, it was kind of garbage. We did get another damage upgrade from the pentagram. I forgot to mention that. But apart from that, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps it a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!